if you're doing, just whatever is popular, your risk of injury is going to go up because, once you get, 35, 40 and above, then you do, just as a part of the aging process, have some deterioration in elastin and collagen and things that contribute to your connective tissues. So if you're going to partake of high force exercise modalities, your risk of getting injured goes up as you age because of those factors, but also the amount of time you spend training is just the amount of time you're consuming your odds when you're performing what most people do for exercise. So if you decide at age 40 you're going to be a CrossFitter, you're going to get hurt sooner than a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Now, you're both going to get hurt. That's a 100% guarantee. It's just that at 40, you're going to consume your odds at a little bit faster rate than when you're 20. As opposed to if you're doing a good force-controlled, high-intensity strength training protocol, the forces are controlled to such a degree that your risk of injury is much, much smaller, particularly when you're just starting out. Now, I would say the person that risks injury in their 40s, 50s, and beyond is the more advanced trainer because of this. So, if we're talking about a Josh Trentini, you can become very, very strong, but you still face the problem of, your intervertebral discs are becoming more broken down and more desiccated and less strong. And your connective tissues, your tendons, ligaments are becoming less elastic. So when you are that strong, you may actually cross a threshold where you may incur enough force to harm yourself. That's why a protocol that really follows, a slow, smooth cadence and a gradual buildup of fatigue so that you literally accumulate fatigue at a rate where you become too weak to harm yourself is important. So there's multiple ways of answering that question, but the best way to get about that is to invoke a training protocol that's going to use your fatigue to your advantage rather than your disadvantage. And that's simply to do slow, smooth, cadence-controlled type work as opposed to ballistic show-off work.
You mentioned sort of degradation of the joints and the connective tissues then. Is there anything that somebody who's approaching that time in life can do to protect themselves, or is it just something we need to accept is going to happen?
Well, it is. You can do things to mitigate against it, but it still occurs to some degree. Something about the aging process causes different amino acids to get uptaken into the elastin and collagen molecules that makes its three-dimensional structure less elastic and less springy. But to the extent that you can follow a good diet, that you can have, good quality animal protein that includes some collagen intake, as well as intakes of food that have good amounts of vitamin K, because that is involved in catalyzing the process of generating those proteins. You can mitigate against it. So, bone broths and, eating, meats that are well marbled and have the connective tissue in it and providing, the glycine and the amino acids that you need to mitigate against that does blunt that process somewhat and, put you in a better condition to handle that. But still, despite that, at some point, you're going to have a diminution compared to when you were in your 20s. And, that's just a little loss of a safety margin. But the good news is with a reasonable training approach that invokes fatigue in a safe manner, you're well within those safety margins. You're very unlikely to harm yourself. Particularly if you're, paying attention both to good form and good biomechanics, a la Bill Day Simone, a moment arm type approach, where you're not going to load joints or load discs in a vulnerable way. The margin of safety is so great, you probably will never have to worry about it.